Hey, peace be with you. We just did our world peace healing meditation, and we're just upgrading the mind of the planet, the planetary mind, the global mind. Thank you. And many events are happening around the world, and the word hate came up. And hate's an interesting idea. It has to do with being separate from. In many ways, what we're talking about is being separate from your own soul, disconnected from your own soul. And I went and saw a little further and was reflecting when I was working with teen gangs in the south side of Chicago. And what I observed was that they had neither meaning or purpose in their life. And in a very real way, I mean, I'm talking to the kids. I would go down at night after working at the University of Chicago or other things I was doing, and we'd go down, we'd play basketball, we'd listen to tapes of Malcolm X. They weren't interested in Martin Luther King because they couldn't relate to that kind of frequency. And we got to be pretty friendly. There was a sense that none of them expected to live past their early 20s. Just think about that for a moment. It's not, but probably anyone listening to this podcast has thought about. But that was the real expectation. It wasn't really lives of desperation. It really wasn't quite like that. But they had no meaning. And along with that, they had no purpose. But the meaning is what I want to talk about, because without meaning, it's very hard to have purpose, and it's very hard to do anything except see yourself as just existing. And when you have no meaning and no purpose, it's very easy to get separated from your soul and to move into hate. Now, just reflecting today, what we're hearing about in South Africa, like where I taught, I worked there. And there were divisions, for sure, and then Nelson Mandela came in and upgraded the whole kind of energetics, where meaning began to move back into what was going on. And there, in South Africa, there were 11 different major tribes, and you have the white population, different things. And he unified it. How did he unify it? Because he moved people away from hate into meaning. He brought value to things. And with that, he brought also purpose. Because when you have meaning, then you get purpose. Now you can live a life without purpose if you have deep meaning, because the meaning I'm talking about is seeing and experiencing the divine in everything you do, where everything becomes sacred. And that's enough. But in this case, he brought meaning and purpose. Now what we're talking about, if we can trust the newspapers, is that not only are they confiscating the land of the white farmers, but they're not really letting them leave, and they're actually trying to kill all the white people. What happened from Nelson Mandela to where we are now? I mean, that's a big jump. I want to go back now to my experience in the south side of Chicago. And if anybody ever reads the newspapers or hears the thing, which I don't do that much, but we know there's a lot of shootings, and of course it's a gun-controlled area, you're not allowed to have guns, but there's a huge amount of shootings and deaths. Okay, Chicago used to be number 3 behind Baltimore and one other city. I'm not sure if it's Detroit or St. Louis. But the point is, it's a pretty tough place. Okay? And one day, the teenagers, we're sitting here, we're doing something, and there, somebody had a gun, again, gun control place, but somebody had a gun, and they were threatening to shoot somebody, and the crowd gathered. Then a bus came through and hit a little kid, and pretty soon, and very quickly, it's fast, because we're in the settlement houses, it's like people are really intensely living on top of each other. Okay? And boom, we have a riot going. So I look at the gang members and say, well, let's take care of this. Boom, we go right into meaning and also purpose, and we stop. I mean, I'm talking thousands of people. I'm not talking a few people. I'm talking thousands of people on the street. And the gang, it was a little strange because I was part of what was going on. Outside Chicago, in my experience, is the most segregated place I've ever been. So I was the only white person. And the gang took care of it. We quelled literally the potential really big riot with thousands of people. Police came. They were very smart. They left us alone. They let us do the job. And everything got done peacefully in a good way. And afterwards, the district police officer or whatever met with us. It's like, what did you do? How'd you do that? You know, it's like, what happened here? So what happened is very important. What happened is, in that moment, meaning came. In that moment, people connected to their soul. People began to feel purpose in their life in that moment. And they were just at a whole level of function beyond what anyone ever expected of them and what they expected of themselves. Meaning, connection. It did happen. It was a powerful lesson. Okay? And they felt they were actually contributing to their society. And of course we had the purposes, okay, let's stop the riot. Okay? And to me it was a huge teaching, the power of these kids. And these are people in their late teens, very early 20s. And so the lesson for me is give people meaning in their life, and then good, better if we can have purpose, and suddenly you move from desperate and hate into being really protectors and productive in the society. It was like, whoa, that was really mind-blowing what happened. And the police really couldn't believe it. These are gang members. What's going on here? You guys are functioning. You guys just did something really good. We have no clue what happened. But I did, you know, in terms of what that is. Okay. So when we look at our society today, we have to look at, in our world today, the increase in hate. And what does that mean? It means people have lost meaning in their life. See, it's not just by accident. They lost meaning, and so hate doesn't really give meaning, but it gives them something, some feeling. And so that's what we see devolving going on. And if we can give people return to meaning, it will change that story. Now, after I left, I moved from there to Central Harlem and the medical school. At night I left. Big shootout, 9 people got killed. So nobody got killed for the 2 years I was working there. No one got killed in this whole gang that night. Why? Because meaning had happened, some level of purpose, and therefore we don't need to have shootouts. We don't need to go in that nihilistic kind of way of being. And so what's needed today is the same thing. And when we bring spirit back into our lives, When we bring that connection with the divine back in our lives, well, hate goes away, because hate is about separation from your own soul. And we are able to upgrade who we are and ultimately upgrade society, because we brought spirit back into the story. And when there's spirit, we have love, because we feel our connection and our oneness, and there's no room for hate to exist. So may everybody be blessed that we bring spirit back into our lives, and hopefully into the lives of those around us. And from that, love, because when we connect our own soul, we feel the oneness, and in that way, uplift society around the world. Amen. Aho. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Okay, any questions?